Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are covering some reactions, first reviews from the recent screening of a new movie. This one being the live action How to Train Your Dragon. I know one of the most anticipated movies of the year for a lot of us, and CinemaCon is currently going underway, so we're getting a ton of news, a bunch of trailers, and they screened the entire movie of How to Train Your Dragon, the live action remake. And I'm very excited to get into these reactions because leading up to this, I'd say it's been, overwhelmingly a positive kind of experience with, kind of loud crowds being the why did this need to happen, why are we remaking an animated movie that hasn't even been out for 20 years yet, and all this. And I understand those criticisms, they're completely justified, and I'm not gonna combat it too much, but just from the team behind this movie and just everyone surrounding it seems extremely passionate and in good faith. It seems like the intentions are there and it's pure and it's not made very cynically or super cash grabby. If anything, it seems like they're really trying to introduce this franchise to a new generation. Obviously, before we get into it, please do us a favor, like the video, subscribe, and click that bell if you end up enjoying this and you like this type of content. We post weekly and we cover early kind of reactions and reviews on these bigger movies pretty much every single time it happens. So yeah, but other than that, without further ado, let's hop straight into these reactions. The first one we have comes from Eric Davis saying, pretty blown away by How to Train Your Dragon, to be honest. There's this depth and heart and intensity that the live action brings, and some small perfect story tweaks that really make it soar. The score is incredible, the tears were flowing, it's so good. I want to first piggyback off of that intensity. He said, I remember watching the last trailer, and during the dragon training sequences, not the dragon training, but particularly when our characters are training to fight dragons, there was a sort of tangibility and intensity there, a physicality there that wasn't present in the animated films because obviously it's for kids and it's animated, so the sense of disbelief is like off the charts. And so when you're bringing it into live action and these things feel like extreme forces next to characters who are real, that adds an intensity to it. It adds stakes, it adds a tangibility to it, and I'm really excited to see how far that goes for the live action version. But the next one we have comes from The Hollywood Handle saying, in How to Train Your Dragon, DreamWorks once again proves his brilliance, seamlessly bringing his animated masterpiece to live action while preserving its heart and spectacle. The cast delivers captivating performances, making Burke and its characters feel more alive than ever. The production design is breathtaking, blending realism and fantasy in a visually stunning way. More than just an adaptation, this film is an astonishing new way to feel a masterpiece. That's why we go to movies, to feel them, to experience something. Some are extremely emotional and really hit us deep in our core, and others are just cinematic experiences that live with us for the rest of time. And yeah, that's really exciting to hear. So far, extremely positive, but let's go ahead and move on. This next one comes from Scott Menzel saying, How to Train Your Dragon is spectacular, a visually stunning and emotionally engaging retelling of the animated classic. Director DreamWorks recreates the magic of the original with lots of action, humor, and heart. Mason Thames as Hiccup is the definition of perfect casting, as is majority of this cast. Prepare to fall in love with Toothless all over again. How to Train Your Dragon is a must-see on the big screen and is a reminder to why audiences love going to the movies. This is going to be a massive hit. Wow, that's so reassuring to hear. This is easily one of the most anticipated movies for a lot of people, and it seems like it really might be meeting expectations, which is so exciting. But we're gonna cover some more. This next one coming from Dorian Parks, saying How to Train Your Dragon is the best live action adaptation film I've seen. Big fan of the original, and it was everything I wanted to see. The score, the acting, and the visual effects were perfect. Cried a few times. I've never loved a CGI creature more than Toothless. Love to hear it. Once again, Toothless getting his praises as always. I expect a lot of people and a new generation to walk out of this movie just like drooling at the thought of petting Toothless and taking care of him and cuddling him, as many of us did when the original first released. But this next one comes from Straw Hat Goofy, saying I was in a fight with How to Train Your Dragon in its first act. By the time Hiccup touches Toothless's nose, I lost that fight. I couldn't help but give myself completely to a story I love deeply, even while accepting its tendency to be safe. While that's not a negative reaction, it seems like they really, wanted to express the fact that while this live action interpretation and adaptation is really great, it isn't trying to do anything completely different or subversions that are, ginormous. It's sticking to the pages and to adapting fairly safe, which, neither here nor there, might be for better or for worse depending on what you're looking for going into this movie. But me personally, I am perfectly fine with that. But this next one comes from Kevin Phoenix, saying How to Train Your Dragon re-gifts all the wonder and heart of the original. While I could not find any updates or changes, there was truly no need, and I was still just as moved as the first time watching the original film. That is so great to hear. All we've read so far is the amount of heart, the sincerity, how many times people have cried, and it seems like it really has that emotional through line that original film had, and I couldn't be more thankful. This next one we have comes from Jordan Mason, saying How to Train Your Dragon was simply incredible. The flight scenes were awe-inspiring, the action was dynamic and riveting, and it retains all the heart and humor along the way. Wasn't exactly sold on this live action remake before, but I'm blown away. Wow, I love to hear how much this movie's like kind of shattering expectations and kind of meeting them for those who were extremely excited and love the original trilogy. But this next one comes from the homie Coco, saying How to Train Your Dragon is one of the best live action adaptations thus far. Genuinely had a smile on my face throughout the entire movie. This is going to be one of those movies people are going to be talking about for a very long time. I need more Toothless. Who doesn't need more Toothless? A lot of plushies and a lot of merch is going to be sold as a direct result from this movie and its potential success. But this next one comes from Jermaine Lucier, saying the live action How to Train Your Dragon captures the magic of the original in almost every way. All the big moments are there, all the heart and excitement too. Wonderful performances all around. My only gripe is the new stuff. While good and subtle, it never elevates things enough. So that's kind of the second person we've heard say that, while it isn't every shot for shot remake of the original, it's not doing enough to kind of subvert or stand itself out. It's pretty much a kind of a repackaging in a way, but not in this cynical way, hopefully at least. Now, obviously we're just judging off of these reactions, but yeah, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. But we're gonna cover a couple more and then wrap this up. This next one coming from 𝙎𝙚𝙚𝙚. I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but he says, get ready to fall in love with Toothless all over again. How to Train Your Dragon is an exceedingly faithful adaptation that brings the classic story and world to life. All of the dragons look absolutely incredible, and the movie cleverly does more to flesh out the characters. Now, that was something that I was always wondering, with it being live action, you could lean into a Game of Thrones situation or kind of, take the approach of really fleshing out not only these characters that were kind of, side comedic relief in the original trilogy that obviously ultimately ended up, having arcs and payoffs, but you could flesh them out, or on top of that, flesh out the world of 𝙁𝙁 even more. And I feel like that was kind of the entire point of bringing this franchise back, was there was untapped potential there. And while we had some spin-offs and shows and a bunch of other stuff on Netflix along the way, it's reached a point now in what the audience really wants from these big tentpole franchises where, it is pretty smart to kind of revive this franchise, give it the ability to really flesh out this world for a much longer time and give it its due diligence. But we're going to cover 3 more. These 3 coming from the people over at the Movie Podcast. If you guys don't know them, they do tons of movie coverage, interviews, all of that. Love them so much. Go ahead and support them. But we're going to cover theirs and then wrap it up. But this one comes from Shabazz saying, How to Train Your Dragon soars again with an enchanting reimagining. Hiccup and Toothless bond remains spellbinding, bringing all the heart and adventure fans cherish. A majestic journey that captures the magic of dragons like never before. Love to hear it. This next one comes from Anthony saying, How to Train Your Dragon is a breathtaking adventure that soars to new heights. 𝙎𝙬𝙆𝙀 captures the heart and soul of the original while elevating it with fantastic performances, thrilling sequences, and epic thrills. A must watch in IMAX. I will be. I will be watching this in IMAX day one. But this last one comes from Daniel Baptista saying, How to Train Your Dragon is a gorgeous reimagining of one of the most beloved animated films of all time. Full of heart, it takes everything that made the original so special and soars to new heights with breathtaking visuals and a spectacular story for a whole new generation. You love to hear it, and I really hope this is something that an entire generation learns to cherish or really grows up with. A lot of us grew up with that original trilogy. We saw Hiccup grow, we saw Toothless grow, we saw all these characters in the world of 𝙁𝙁 grow. But now with how much franchises are starting to spin off and do prequels and sequels and introduce new things, there is so much untapped potential in the world of 𝙁𝙁 and its characters, its history, everything about it, and I cannot be more excited. How to Train Your Dragon 2 live action, actually, by the time of this recording, has already been greenlit and confirmed, and that just really shows, how high people are on this movie, but also how high the studio is to really bring this franchise back and, keep it alive, and if anything, really inject it with kind of a pulse in the cultural zeitgeist. I couldn't be more excited for this movie and the potential that this movie could create. And you tell me, how excited are you for the live action How to Train Your Dragon? Have you watched the original trilogy? Have you not? Are you excited for it? Even though anything, rank the trilogy. I love discussing with you guys in the comments below. Leave your thoughts, and obviously if you made it this far and you haven't, please consider liking the video, subscribe, and click that bell. It would help out the channel so much, and we would greatly appreciate it here. But other than that, it's been your boy 𝙎𝙬𝙚𝙚, and hopefully I see you all in the next one.